Concussions are serious business. Concussions and post-concussion syndrome had a huge effect on my career. Whether you're a player, a concerned parent, a coach, a risk manager, or an executive, they're a major area of concern. HeadCheck Health has developed software and services that improve the way concussions are assessed, tracked, and managed at all levels of sport. Their goal is to create a safer environment of play by giving better tools to the individuals responsible for documenting and assessing concussions and providing better data to administrators to make real health and safety improvements. HeadCheck currently works with organizations across the country like the Canadian Junior Hockey League, BC Hockey, Rugby Ontario, the Western Lacrosse Association, and more to advance their concussion management practices. If you're interested in learning more how HeadCheck can help your team or organization, please visit headcheckhealth.com or email info@headcheckhealth.com. That's headcheckhealth.com or info@headcheckhealth.com and tell them TR sent you.
Why do you hang around with the worst crowd, the worst crowd? It's gonna hurt me, 'cause you're with the
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of Third Man In. I'm Mike Hickey, and I am joined by...
Charles Pickett.
And...
Terry Ryan.
There we go. First off, guys, we just want to say thank you so much. The response to episode 1 has been incredible. We were really excited. We knew we were going to kind of have some people interested and all that kind of stuff, but the response has just been overwhelming. Everything's been so positive. I apologize for the delay in getting it up on iTunes, but it's there now. And I just want to say to everybody, thank you so much for subscribing, for listening. Make sure to rate and review us if you can. The comments, the reviews, all that stuff are huge and really help us out in getting the word out there about the show. And can't thank you enough. And it's things like that got us our first sponsor. So you just heard TR give us a read for HeadCheck Health, who have come on board to help us out and sponsor the show. So a huge thank you to them. It's a Vancouver-based company who's working really hard to help out and make sure that concussion protocols and assessments are done in a much more accurate and consistent way. And so thank you to them. So guys, what's up?
I just watched the Firefest documentary, actually. This has nothing to do with hockey, but I kept my eyes out for Joffrey Lupul the whole time, because I know, like, post-hockey, he's been showing up at a lot of these events. And,
are we officially post-hockey on Joffrey Lupul, or is he still, like, on the books for somebody somewhere?
Oh, he's definitely still on the books for the Leafs, but I'm a little bit disappointed that I didn't see him, but it's the strangest thing. Pete Chiarelli was there.
What?
Yeah, like Pete Chiarelli was there, and I guess he bought in, but it's not a surprise when he's the guy that also signed Lucic. So I mean,
hey now, Lucic is doing great. He's got more goals so far in 2019 than he had in the calendar year of 2018. He's in his renaissance now.
He's got more than William Nylander. I know that much.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, you know what? And let's
gas on the fire.
Okay, never mind. That one's coming up later. I was gonna say, like, don't we have?
I was early.
Don't we have that for a segue? But we're gonna talk about that one for sure.
Get off that ramp right quick.
Yeah, but yeah.
I'm always gonna call Lucic the Renaissance man now. So thank you for that, Mike.
You're welcome. And also, whenever you do, think about that old Danny DeVito movie.
The Danny DeVito movie.
Renaissance Man. It's a great movie.
The only Danny DeVito movie I ever want to think about is Twins.
Oh wow! I knew you were going to say that for some reason.
Really?
There are lots of Danny DeVito movies, but for some reason I knew he was going to come out with that.
That's actually
call it deja vu.
Yeah, that's actually my Google Chrome home start page is the IMDb page of Twins.
Wow.
Okay.
I mean, just that premise makes me laugh.
You know what?
Watch that again.
And you know what? I think that actually cues us up pretty well for like, oh baby.
Oh, here we go.
We're adding a new segment to week 2.
What the fuck? You didn't ask me how I'm doing? You pipe in how you're doing. Then Chuck goes and talks about something non-hockey. I don't know. I was on my phone, and now
that's why. It's because you're head down on your phone.
Kidding.
That's why.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I'm doing
how
great.
Are you doing? How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. Let's go.
How was your game last week? You left us right after you had to take.
We had a game last night, 3-0. We beat Northeast Torbay Northeast in the East Coast Senior Hockey League. St. John's Caps. We're on a roll. But that's here nor there. You guys keep going where you were going to go. I wanted to remind you that you didn't ask me how I was doing. I was pretty fucking offended.
Well, let's face it. You're gonna get a few words in over the course of the podcast. Yeah. So if we missed you like right there, it was gonna be fine.
That's it. I'm like a fucking crazy parent who keeps a stopwatch on their kids' ice time. Fuck you guys. I'm the most here.
But you know what's really fucking funny though is that we do have someone else in the room. So if you guys hear some snapping, if you hear doors, if you hear whatever, we've got our friend Mike here from the CBC, who was kind enough to come in and have a chat with us before we got going, and he's here taking some snaps. But we chatted to him for a very long time, if you can imagine us talking for a long time, and we were doing like I was doing my best anyway, not to curse. And so every time Terry swears now, I'm just like, oh wait, no, we're allowed to now. It's us. It's not the CBC anymore, so we can say whatever the fuck we want. But TR, it's nice to hear you're doing well. It's good to hear the team's doing well. You got 4 goals or something last week, didn't you?
I did in Clarenville last week. Yeah, it was every once in a while. I tell you why. You know what? Not why, but Clarenville's a great building to play in. And, for those who don't know, we have a great senior hockey league here in Newfoundland. We won the Canadian Championship Allen Cup a couple of years ago. I think we got 3 in the last 10 years. And it really is. So, it's a privilege to even get to play, because there's lots of places you could land that don't have senior hockey. But around here, like, most teams, have a lot of guys that play pro or major junior or college and come back and don't have much to do. A lot of kids, might go play pro, but it's not lucrative enough maybe, so they use their school money to come back here, but they got nowhere to play. So especially the West teams, like St. John's doesn't quite get as many fans. We got 4 teams in here just because there's so much on the go, and they got the Growlers and they got the Edge, the basketball team, like it should be. You should go support that stuff. But, you go to Clarenville, it's the only game in town. You go to Grand Falls, Gander, it's the only game in town. And it's great to go out there and play. They pack it with fans. They sell jerseys. They paint their faces. It's a lot like a pro game. So, I still enjoy it. I mean, I'm 42 last week. I'm still going. So, I mean, who knows when that'll end. But, yeah, most recently I had a good game. That could fall flat. You know what I mean? Like, I also got arthritis to deal with. It's great. The other great thing is that there's 5-6 days at least between games, so you can recuperate a little bit.
That's great. And it's good to hear. I know, I'm from Central. I'm from Grand Falls. I was briefly the DJ for the Grand Falls Windsor Cataracts.
See, that got to be on your Twitter.
It is. We actually talked about it because I once had the guy who was like the goal announcer come on, and during a break, come on the overhead and tell me to turn that fucking racket down. It was great. I had it blared because it's up in the back. It's up by the warm room upstairs, and I had it blared and didn't know how loud it was out in the crowd. And he's trying to hear from the ref, and he's just like, turn that bloody racket down.
It's an older crowd.
Oh yeah, for sure. But it was fun. It was good times. But we're gonna do a thing now that Charles. It came out of me and Charles talking about this last week because Bob Cole, of course, is he's on his retirement tour. He's been doing this for 50 years. He's on his way out, but he is a Newfoundlander. He's just down the road. I saw him at Sobeys last week. I gave him a smile and a nod. He looked at me with stern disappointment, which is the only way to describe the expression on his face when I give him like a smile and a nod, like, oh, you're Bob Cole. And he looked at me just like he was very upset and sad at the same time that I was acknowledging him. But we are going to do what we're now calling the Bob Cole oh baby moment of the week, which is it's just gonna kind of get thrown out. One of us picks. I think Charles is gonna go this week. He has his Bob Cole oh baby moment of the week.
All right, my Bob Cole oh baby moment of the week, and
oh baby.
I hope we can we cut in the Bob Cole yelling oh baby?
I think we have to.
We have to. I'll try. I once had a ringtone that was it. That was the ringtone. Was just him yelling oh baby.
Wow.
And he was at this gets better. He was at the Manna Bakery, and they had lost his order. And I was like nervous that my phone would go off in his presence. So as I was trying to mute my ringtone, I prompted it. And so it's Bob Cole, who's clearly flustered, hearing his own voice yelling, oh, baby. He shot me a look.
Manna Bakery.
He shot me a look.
Would you call it stern disappointment?
Oh, it was beyond that. It was like I thought I was going to get kicked off the island. I thought that was it for me.
I think
like
they're
going to send me
kicked off the island.
Yeah,
I mean, you should have a long time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not even from here. Let's face it. You're from the big one.
Now you're getting that treatment.
You're a mainlander.
Outsider. We're alienating you. Yeah. We didn't tell you that's why you're on this show, so we can fuck with you.
A2, Michael.
Episode 2, we figured we'd break it to you.
Yeah. You had a good run.
Where's the pie for the face?
Yeah.
So my Bob Cole oh baby moment of the week is Mitchell Marner's nearly $500,000 game on it was Thursday night. So he hit 2 of his major performance bonuses of his ELC. The first one was on his first point, which I think he hit like a certain points per game total on the ELC. So that got him at $212,000, which, is peanuts. Then he went and got a goal, which is his third 20-goal season in a row.
No, it's I think the same night I think he became the first Leaf in the franchise history to start his 3 first seasons with 60 points. He's the first guy in the history of the Leafs to start his career with 3 60-point
Yet
seasons.
remains underrated for some reason.
Yeah.
Side note, as we're talking about Marner, 2 years ago the Memorial Cup was in Red Deer where I played junior, so they flew a lot of the alumni back, especially those with had a goal a game. Not a big deal. But anyway, they flew us back, and we watched the Memorial Cup tournament, and he was in it playing for Ontario, London. And
London Knights.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
It was a man against boys, even though he looks like the youngest boy at the tournament. Skinny little guy, like you'd never say it. Even in warm-up, I was like, is this guy that good? Unbelievable. But that's, the creativity and the hockey IQ. When you watch Marner, that's a bunch of shit you can't teach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just does a bunch of shit that you can't teach. Some people, the coach might be able to say, you work on this, and if you get it in low, maybe if you dump it in behind the D, you'll get a little bit more time, and you can work on those things. But he just ultimately knows where to be and has instincts incredibly right from the moment he stepped onto the ice. One of the most gifted players I've ever seen. Anyway, back to you.
So what do you think a coach tells Mitch Marner anyway? Do you think he gets him get saucier in the corner, like say something that might offend the D? Like what does Mike Babcock tell Mitch Marner to do besides good job, Mitch?
I think that's all Mike Babcock says to anybody, let alone Mitch Marner. It's just kind of
the
like
odd time he turns it over, but when you are a great player and you have the puck on your stick so much, and you're such a good passer, I mean that has to happen. I always like to throw those guys a bone a little bit. If you're unbelievably creative, go out there. If it gets picked off, so be it. Let's not have you be a minus player, because that's not going to be very effective at all. It's going to hurt us. But if you're a Marner and one gets picked off and you're +4 instead of +5, I've always thought, just let the creative guys go. I mean, it's hockey, and it's for the team, for the player, for the fans. It's best not to get in his or her head about an extra move unless it becomes a real problem. And with Marner, I just think it's like watching an artist paint. He's an absolutely gifted hockey player. It's great to watch.
But just when you mentioned his or her creativity, that just reminded me to say congratulations to, we threw it out on Twitter earlier the week, the under-18 women's team.
Shaylin Snow, was that her name?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I'll double check just to make sure.
Not that I paid attention. I only heard that a girl from Newfoundland, from Bay Roberts, and she just was on the under-18 Team Canada, and they won the World Championship. And if this podcast was coming to you from Toronto, I'd say that was ho-hum every day kind of thing. But not here in Newfoundland, where we have up and coming female athletes that are just blowing me away with the talent and the opportunity. And we have a lot under the radar. Maybe we can do a segment. We have I've often said it in Canada, if you're a young girl and you're playing, then a college scholarship is very doable in those states. That is kind of the NHL. I mean, I know there's a pro women's league, but if I'm a young girl coming out, I want a free schooling. That would be my, NHL kind of thing. And it's all Americans or Canadians. You don't have to deal with Russians or Europeans, Scandinavians, whatever it might be, world, anybody. They don't have to deal with anybody. For the most part, it's Americans, Canadians. So if you're, one of these girls that's playing like bantam still on the All-Star team with boys, there's more and more specific women's colleges that do it, but I really, that have programs. But I really do think that if you're a young girl and you can even skate, you put a bit of time in, and there's all kinds of opportunity. With men, it's hard to just make the NHL. I forget what the odds are. It's astronomical, though. I'm not saying that it's a piece of cake if you're a woman, but there are great opportunities. If you're from Canada and you're a talented female player, then the sky's the limit. And not only that, they just in very recent history, they opened up a lot of women's programs. I think, I forget what the rule is, but a lot of NCAA, if you have a men's team, you have to have a women's team. And with that came like 25 or 30 new teams came in. Those are all opportunities for Canadians.
And it is, in fact, Shaylin Snow of Bay Roberts, who Team Canada won the U18, beat the United States 3-2. So congratulations again to Shaylin and the Canadian women's under 18 team. And now we're going to let Charles finish his Bob Cole baby moment from ago. This is a thing that we do. We start Charles on something and then we just interrupt him.
Wow. That's it. You know what? You start with the story and then we'll just keep regressing and going back. By the end of it, you'll have the story done.
Yeah.
Pulling away. But congratulations to Mitch Marner, the first baby moment of the 3MI podcast. He found an extra $400,000, and the same day I found an extra $25 in my winter jacket. Didn't know I had
nice.
it. Yeah,
that's always good.
Great. So that's kind of the equivalent.
It's totally comparable.
It's
totally comparable. What was the other? You say that was it. We interrupted you halfway through telling us what the 2 milestones that he had to hit to trigger the.
It was 20 goals in the season, I believe. 20 goals in the season. Yeah.
And
so he could have gotten. I was reading that he could have got the 3rd performance bonus on Twitter, and then I was just like, well, that's clearly not fair. I didn't find $60 in my winter jacket.
Yeah.
He can't. So he didn't. He reeled it in. So
that's good. Good for him.
Well,
Exactly.
there's still time for both of you. I'm sure there's a 4th or 5th incentive bonus. We're only halfway through the year for Mitch Marner.
Yeah,
as well as you. You got a lot of jackets there.
You do. You got a lot. There's so many jean jackets that there could be a $5 slipped in.
Yeah.
That I'm sure we'll uncover lots more for you over the course of the winter here.
Me and Toby Keith are in a race for the most denim jackets.
I have 3. And one of them I've cut down to a vest. So let me just tell you, buddy.
Nice.
That's
man.
tough.
Any band
is.
on the back?
What's
Heavy
that?
metal?
No, I haven't gone there.
Okay.
I haven't gone there yet, but I might because it was
Judas Priest patch.
It was only like tail end of the summer, early fall. I made it a vest.
Do you wear it with a leather jacket or with a
No,
jean jacket?
often hoodie.
Okay.
Often hoodie. But we'll see what happens in the
Rock
coming
on, man.
in the coming
84.
spring. Yeah, there you go.
Next week we'll have a men's fashion segment for beer leaguers.
Oh, 100%. It's huge. It's important to do. But with that, we'll congratulations to Mitch on being named the first Bob Cole baby moment of the week for the 3MI podcast. And
Mitch,
now
we're awaiting your call.
we will move on to our intentional offsides. If you guys listened last week, this is a point where we talk about some stuff that we didn't say "oh baby" with quite the same inflection when it happened. And TR has been waiting to talk about this one since last week. He wanted it to be last week, but we were already going super long, so we reined him in. We wouldn't let him talk about it. But there's some people who haven't been picked for the All-Star game.
So you want me to get into that, and fair enough. Now, there's 2 things. First of all, my first reaction, and again, a lot of people, I'm getting ahead of myself, was Morgan Riley didn't make the All-Star game, okay? Now, the guy at the time, I believe, was 2nd in scoring, maybe 1st in goals for defensemen in the league. It was around that. It was maybe 2nd in both or 1 and 2, whatever the fuck it was. He was one of the top scorers, 2nd or 1st at the time. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that stat right there says to me, and I get it. I know there's a whole lot more to the game. But you tell me, historically, the guys with the stats get there, don't they? A, and B, he works real hard, and he is decent defensively. I mean, he's certainly not Brooks Orpik, but he's pretty dependable. And, he plays in Toronto with that huge market. I mean, and I'm not one for that. I think a lot of times, for example, the sports shows you watch, they often give more attention to the Leafs, and, I could stand to see not as much of that. But, the other thing is it's a huge market. It's Toronto. It's 3rd biggest city in North America here. So this guy's starring for them. He's got the most points. I just didn't get it. But the second part of this is that as I started to look, I don't even fucking know what the All-Star game is anymore. What is it? Is it 3 games? Is it 4? Do they even use 1 puck anymore? Like, I've lost so much interest in the last little bit. I mean, no one even gives a fuck anymore. Like, Alexander Ovechkin, one of the best players of our generation, he didn't want to play. I totally get it because I don't care and I'm not going to watch.
Same thing with Bergeron. Bergeron just had a month and a half off to injury, but was like, I don't want to go to the All-Star game. No thanks. No,
Exactly.
Vote for somebody else. It's cool.
You see, I give these guys a little bit of leeway because they've paid their dues. They've done, Ovi's done 7. I think Ovi came back from an injury one year just to play the All-Star game. Or he came back and played 2 games and then still made the All-Star game. Bergeron as well. These guys are journeymen. And I kind of like the idea of shifting it to the younger guys because these fellas need a bit of like. It's not just you go in and
hence
you
Morgan fucking Riley.
Yeah, but you're not just playing a game of shinny. These guys are. It's the All-Star weekend.
They
they're
are
up at
playing
5.
a game of shinny.
Yeah,
and that's
but they're
the thing.
up at 5 a.m.
You know?
NBC's interviewing.
It's a tournament. It's a 3-on-3 tournament. This year they don't.
I should know more.
This year they don't even have divisional because it's the 4 divisions play a 3-on-3 tournament. This year they don't even have individual uniforms. What they're doing is every team has a black and a white, and you just go out and you wear your black or your white depending on
you find a bit of the personalities gone out of it.
It's a lot of it. Like I remember those old. Like I remember back in the day, the old. Like when it was like the Campbell and the Whales and all that, and they were wearing the black and when
Gretzky and Lemieux had 4
yeah. Like those, I remember that year that we talked about with Fozzie Bear,
North
where
America
they had
versus the world.
No,
man.
I'm not even talking about
no?
that. I'm talking about the year of those Muppets ones where it was I think I guess it was 95, 96. It was the 96 All-Star game where it was like those like giant star uniforms and stuff, like all those kinds of things. And I remember all those, and now there's not even actual friggin' uniforms for the All-Star game. But the thing is just like, yeah, I get trying to make it kind of fun. Like what I don't understand is at this point, there was a year, 2 years ago, they did something like 6 outdoor games. How is the All-Star game not just an outdoor game? Like at this point, I would rather than do this 4-on-4 tournament, I'd straight up love to see them just do an All-Star game where they just pick players. It doesn't have to be one from every team because I hate that they're so focused on representation. They're not worried about getting the best players out for the All-Star game. And I'd say frigate, like, fuck it. I'm still in CBC mode, but fuck it. And just literally like have a guy that's like appointed like a captain and have that guy blindfold and just toss sticks behind his back. Like I'd love to see that.
To see the toss sticks.
I'd love to see an outdoor game where they just go full on, lean into it being a game of pond hockey.
Can go right now because we don't really even know. Look, I get it that formats change. I'm not saying that I'm one of these people either that's going crazy on Twitter. Fuck the All-Star game. I'm just saying I'm not really interested.
I'm indifferent to it.
What I don't get though, no matter what way you do it. Now, I just want to hear, because when I said that on Twitter, there are people that think I'm off base. But if I'm looking at the second leading scorer defenseman in the league on one of the better teams.
Yep.
What's the reason against it? Well, I'm arguing I didn't look at every stat from every other defenseman. I just looked at his, and I think it's obvious enough. I mean, I know the other guys. I mean, I didn't fucking dissect every other stat. But I'm looking at it going, if this is what he's done, tell me the argument against it. I just don't understand how he didn't get on the team.
I think here's the argument against it, is that you've got 4 teams now, like 4 divisional teams. You're doing 3-on-3. So right out of the gate, you've got how many teams are in each division now? I don't even remember. Is it 7 to 8 depending on
the conference?
But the issue is that they want to represent every team. They want to try to have every team have somebody there. So on the depth chart of that Leafs team right now, Austin Matthews is one of the captains. The Leafs don't have a captain. Austin Matthews has been named captain of the All-Star team.
Mike Babcock is the captain of the Leafs.
Yeah. But then you've got Mitch Marner, who we're just talking about, is an incredible player who's just leaps and bounds and is underrated and is, again, he's getting overlooked because of Matthews. So if you want to put Morgan Riley there, he's the third guy at least on that depth chart of guys on the Leafs who should be going to the All-Star game. And that's the thing is, so when you're trying to represent every team, Mitch Marner came up as that, like,
that's the stupid part.
That's the stupid part of it. Like, it should be. I remember
Seattle's in now, 16 teams on both sides. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
They got to go back to North America versus the world. But my hot take on all this...
Well, they're not doing that. We can use that as a segue to our next intentional offsides.
Yeah. But my take on all this is I'm thrilled that, as a selfish Leaf fan, I'm thrilled Morgan Riley's not going to the All-Star game because it's not just a game of shinny. These guys are, they got media availability all friggin' weekend long. They're up at 5 a.m. They're not getting a break. I want Mo. I was going to call him Captain Morgan, but... Anyway,
we'll see next season.
We'll see what next season brings. I want Mo relaxed on a beach, not thinking about hockey, not having to answer questions from the NBC people, just totally tuned out for a week. So I'm happy he's not going to the All-Star game. I don't know if he's happy.
You want him for that? You want him for that shallow run into the playoffs? Is what you want?
Yeah, just
just like those 5 or 6 games they're going to play at the top of the
I'm not as confident anymore. And by the way, for those I'm not like a huge Leafs fan. I love any Canadian team. What a fucking layup of an answer that was. What an easy answer, so I don't take shit. But I mean it, and in Toronto and Montreal especially, those cities are vibrant in the playoffs if they just make it. So I'm serious. You know, I love the Habs, what they did for me and everything. I can go in the alumni room, but, you know, I want to see the Leafs do well too. Whichever comes out on top, so be it. I love to see Canada at that time be, you know, maybe pop up to a playoff game. And for that matter, all the other teams as well. Just we're in Newfoundland tends to be one or the other, and it's so close.
Or the Bruins.
I love
Come on
Calgary, and I'm cheering for James Neal. I know the real deal is going to pick it up here in the second half. Love that guy. Love the Flames. But it's just
Also, shout out to, I saw you post up the other day, your Western All-Star teammate Jarome Iginla is getting his number retired by the Flames.
yeah, you're right. Western Division All-Stars back in the day. And we played under 18 together, too.
Yeah, and he went, He went 11th in that draft that year.
Yeah, but who's counting? I went 8th.
Yeah,
I used to say, Jerome, I had a ham sandwich and half a coffee in me by the time you got drafted. Which was true. Which was true. But, you know, after that, you know, the dice rolled in a little different direction than I thought they would. But he's a great fella, and hats off to Jerome. He always has been, and the few times I've contacted him since for tickets or whatever it might be, he's happily obliged. Great fella. I can't say enough about him, except if there's one thing, not that you asked, but I can tell people
If there was one thing about Jarome Iginla you could say, what would it be?
One thing. It would be the work ethic. And there was a reason back then that when I went 8th and he went 11th, I know it's a joke, but first of all, Kamloops had the best team ever, in my opinion, or at least one of is inarguable. They won 3 Memorial Cups in the 4 years that I was in the Western Hockey League, or 5. So, you know, to win the West Division, to win the Western title is enough. But to win the Memorial Cup, and I mean, Jerome was on the third line. They had Darcy Tucker, they had Nat Dominicelli, they had Jerome, they had Shane Doan. They had Tyson Nash, was like a third liner, fourth liner, and he ended up with 400 or 500 games in the show. Their D, they had Nolan Baumgartner, who was an absolute stud back then, MVP World Juniors, you know, top D, Memorial Cup, all those things. They had Jason Holland, they had Brad Lukowicz, 2 Stanley Cups. They had Scott Niedermayer, they had Rob Niedermayer. They had Corey Hirsch, you know, I go down the list. They were unreal. So, Jerome was being, you know, surrounded by all those players can be great, but it can also bury you a little bit. I was playing in Tri-City with Damon Lankow. We were both in our draft year, and we were our 2 leading scorers, and we played every night, and we didn't really have to play behind anybody, so everybody saw us playing. But the thing is, Jerome that year had 70 points, or around. I had 110, so I had 250 minutes, or 207. I think he had like 100. He was real good. I just don't think people realize that when I went to play that summer on under 18 with him, I realized, like, this guy worked real hard, like real hard. He wasn't a great skater. I remember that coming. He wasn't a great skater, but you could tell that, oh, God, boys, he plays on Kamloops. Like, if he was on our team, he'd be playing on the first line, no doubt. Sure enough, they won the Memorial Cup, and they won it that year against Brian Berard in Detroit in Kamloops. I believe it was 8 or 9-1. I remember watching it live. I haven't done my homework on this, but I remember watching it live. And Donor was MVP, I believe. Donor went 7th that year, right? I went 8th in 95. But, you know, these guys were further down the depth chart, and it was great for them winning as a team, but I don't think, like, we knew it, Damon and I, but I you know, we were rated higher than Jerome, but realized, you know, this guy's probably the best in the draft. But he worked extra hard. His physique back then, I know now it's more of a thing, but we all worked hard. I think that there's this belief that, you know, in 2005 people started working out. No, man, like, we had things to work out. It wasn't as specific, and there wasn't as many replenishing fluids afterwards or pills to take. I mean that, like, vitamins or whatever. You know, I don't know what the fuck guys were doing, but you know, we worked out. Like, after practice, we had to come in. You know, I mean, remember the old Ottawa clips? I mean, the boys were always riding the bike. It was just now it's much more specific. But Jerome was doing that stuff, like the yoga and the plyometrics, and, you know, drinking the shakes and stuff, like when we were like 16 and 17. Like, he was going to make it no matter what, and he was going to maximize his potential. Yeah. Whatever was going to happen, Jarome Iginla was going to maximize his potential because he worked absolutely hard at it, and he became a pilot. And then as he got bigger, he created more room for himself. It was the perfect era for him to come in. I love the guy. I think he's one of the best leaders I've ever had the opportunity to play with. And it's totally deserving, and good luck in the rest of your life, Jerome, and cheers. Thank you for being a great teammate.
And don't forget to reach out to TR and hop on the podcast with us.
Yeah, there you go. That's where I was going with that.
Yeah, that's
Thanks, Mike.
I've got one Jarome Iginla thing to add. So if I could say one thing about Jarome Iginla is that he has a super long name. Like he's got,
he's got like four or five middle names.
names. If you can at me without cheating, like add us on Twitter without cheating, if you can get Jarome Iginla's like full on middle name.
One of them is Elvis. I know that.
One of them is Elvis, and I think it's like Jerome, Arthur, Lay, Elvis, and I'm missing two Iginla.
Yeah, it goes on for a while.
But yeah, that's one of the trivia ones that I always love. Can you get Jarome Iginla's full name?
And I can't. I think it was we were talking about Canadian teams or something, and the Flames came up, and that's what happened. How we got on this Iginla thing, but
fine ramp to end up
it was,
on the Jarome Iginla Expressway here.
And let's take this minute now to wheel back and just quickly, because it happened this week, and I'm livid about it. Wednesday night, the NHL came out, straight up announced they're going to cancel the World Cup of Hockey for 2020 because they're expecting another lockout.
I'm expecting that maybe pros are going to play in the Olympics, and that's why they're canceling the World Cup, because the Olympics, I believe, the Winter Olympics are in China, and the NHL have been just banging on that door, like just banging on that door.
And it would be the Olympics would be 2022 though.
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
well,
that's the thing is we're ways out. I don't think that's it, because the World Cup they did it before with it. I think this is the case of they're like more than anything, whether it's they're canceling the World Cup for whatever reason. The fact is that it's a year and a half out, and they're already like, no, we're going to have another lockout. Sorry, guys, you're going to miss another year of hockey. And I'm just livid. Like the league went 75 years almost without a labor stoppage, and now we're coming on our fourth in almost 25 years. It's bullshit.
It is bullshit, but I don't think we're going to get there, and I don't think we're going to get there because it's harder and harder. So each lockout that we've seen is obviously been a breakdown between the labor, between the union and the PA, the PA, sorry, and the NHL, and it's always been the same story. It's always been owners crying poor, owners saying we can't afford this, we can't afford that, we can't afford that.
And you know what? If they kept the momentum that they had going at any point prior to a lockout, they probably wouldn't be crying so poor all the friggin' time. I got to stop saying friggin'. The CBC's left.
If you've got league, like if you've got people buying into this league like they are, hand over fist, Vegas, Seattle, paying all this money, there is money to be made. It's no one's and contracts. Like everyone said, hockey players making too much money. Well, I'm not touching that, because tickets and everything else like that, the hockey players are making people a lot of money. But contracts in the 90s were not even back there yet. If you want to read about Sergei Fedorov and the Detroit Red Wings in the 90s with the offer sheet, he made $28 million in 48 games. Like I was just reading about that last week. So it's not like contracts have never been more outrageous. In fact, They've been
more outrageous.
Yeah, they've been more outrageous 5 years ago.
The 2004-2005 lockout was exclusively about Gary Bettman trying to get a salary cap in, and he got it. And that's what that lockout was for. It was what the 2000 or the 93-94 lockout was about. It's about the same thing. Yeah. Or 90 was it 93-94 or 94-95? Yeah. So that lockout was about trying to get a salary cap. They didn't get it. Then they locked out again. They lost an entire season, got the salary cap, but then it resulted in the front loaded contracts that all these players had. So that's what the 2012-2013 lockout was for. So what's kind of the rally cry of the owners this time? But that's the other thing. You talked about Seattle. Seattle is set to debut that season. They're supposed to be coming into the league in 2020, and you're going to miss half your inaugural season due to a fucking lockout?
Side note, what do you think their name's going to be?
Totem.
I don't think it's a totem. I think the totem. I think right now with the current climate of stuff, I think totem risks cultural appropriation. I think they'll stay away.
What? I love the name totem, but I know maybe in some way it'll be tied in. Like I think anything. I mean, I don't even know right now as I'm speaking. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know if can I say even native. Like I don't even. Right.
I don't know.
Like the other day I was talking about is Oriental a bad or Asian? Can I say those? Like if this person is from the Orient, then what is that Oriental?
I don't know if you're.
I don't even know.
I don't know if you're allowed to say.
I don't know
Oriental
where we are.
anymore.
I know that my heart is one of open-mindedness.
Oh
and I agree with. I think we're all equal. It's just it's getting to the point. Like I think the Seattle Totems.
Because it is the historic name there, right?
I've got a dark horse pick, though. Seattle, obviously the home of grunge, Kurt Cobain, all that stuff. Kurt Cobain played a Fender Mustang.
Seattle Mustangs.
Seattle Mustangs, because you think of a powerful horse,
Yeah.
one of them
beautiful.
kicks you, you'll die.
Yeah.
The Mustang, I always think of the guitar, but Seattle Mustangs, I think,
I think it's an option there for sure.
I also read Emerald somewhere.
I saw Emeralds is there because
I don't know about that.
I seen Krakens just
Fuck
because
the
of the
Emeralds.
I'm picturing like
But so I do have a story there. Like in the Western Division of the Western League, which I posted that picture yesterday. Well, Tri-Cities, where I played junior, I'm going back to drop a puck in March. That's in Kennewick. So Kennewick is southeast Washington State, and Seattle's about a 2.5 hour drive west.
Okay.
So we played there in the Western League. I mean, it was 30 hours in Brandon, so 2 hours is real close. Whereas in the OHL, like you got probably 12 teams within that 2 hours. We had that was our closest trip was Spokane, and second was Seattle, 2.5 hours. Prince George were in our division at 16 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. That's why people say you come out of the West and you're tough, even without eras aside.
Yeah.
Even now, you
Never
got
dropping
some
the gloves.
level
You're a tough guy if you play
you got to
the
go
West.
through school. Like,
Yeah.
you got to do all those things. You got to be really responsible in a lot of ways, heightened from the other leagues. But anyway, and at that time, you're fighting guys like Belak and Rocky Thompson and Chris McAllister, and I mean, it was just hard not to, it was just it was tough. We all did it together. I didn't not enjoy it. But the point being, Seattle used to get, and at the time the Seattle Supersonics were there, and I forget what's the name of the Key Arena?
I
Keystone
think
Arena?
so. Yeah. Something.
So, and that's where the Thunderbirds play. So the Thunderbirds is the junior team.
Thunderbirds is another one I've heard.
Yeah, that's another great
That's
name.
what I think. So they've had the Thunderbirds for years, and we would go in there. Boys, like today, there's a game in Seattle tonight, and Momoa's going with his stuntman Kim Farty. Shout out to the boys. I got him 4 tickets tonight. That was hard to get. Now the place holds 18,000.
Yeah.
So I talked to the trainer there. I'm still buddies with Colin Campbell, no relation, but ironic name in hockey. But he's still there from when I was there. So he got us 4 tickets, and he said, "Good thing because there's only 20 left." So this is the junior team. Like, people were acting like it wasn't going to work. I'm like, they do that for junior. They get 20,000 almost.
20,000 for junior, and you can't spare it. You could almost not spare a ticket for Aquaman.
Imagine.
Like, come on.
Well, I know. I figured at some point, like, the other thing is he's going to get you back with a favor that's 10 times. But they were great at getting that, and I really appreciate it. Thanks, Colin. Thanks, Seattle Thunderbirds. But it's vibrant. It's like it's an NHL city already. Like, we went in there. Imagine, like, one night you're in Moose Jaw. In Moose, nothing against Moose Jaw, but there's nothing there. It's tiny rink. You're in the prairies. You're cold. There's a lot of negative things. It gets dark. Well, I guess the same thing in Seattle, but it just seems like 2 different leagues. You're playing Prince Albert and Swift Current and Red Deer is the step up. There's a Central Division, there's a West Division, and there's an East Division. But I found that Seattle was always like it felt like you were playing in the NHL already. And not only that, you remember when Detroit had the Detroit Red Wings and the Detroit Junior Red Wings? Then it turned into the Plymouth Whalers. I don't know what it is now, but. So I see no reason it can't be the Seattle Thunderbirds and the Seattle Junior Thunderbirds, because it's already established, and the Thunderbirds are gods in that city.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great. If there was already a major league team and they were entering a junior team, I think they'd often go with the same name, but maybe they're not thinking that.
I think it's an issue at this stage with like the NHL and with all that stuff. I think the biggest thing comes down to like licensing and patents on name, trademarks, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I think that's an issue with an existing team, and if it's not the same ownership group, it's really hard to pull off. And I think that might be it. But I mean, at the same time, it's a great name. I like the Totems too. Again, it's a historic name. I just think right now, with the current climate of the way we look at things and talk about things, I think some people might have problems with Totems. So I think they might stay away from it just to like try to be safe, right?
For one quick take, because the Cleveland Indians and the Atlanta Braves, right? Are we talking Washington Redskins?
Listen,
those are the 3, right?
Though I have some things about that. I think Cleveland Indians I'm okay with. I hate like Chief Wahoo, the emblem. That's horrible.
Yeah.
The name Indians is fine. Braves I can handle. Redskin is an actual racial slur, and that team should change its fucking name.
So this is the
agreed.
thing. This is, and a lot of people have asked me. I didn't think we were going to go here.
I didn't either, but here we are.
I want to go back to what I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
And I mean that. Sometimes I don't know how to word things.
Yeah,
anymore.
no,
We're in that
it's hard to
climate.
do now. It's a
thing
weird
is,
time.
I'm not offended by those things. And like you said, Redskins probably the worst of that bunch, especially when you do your homework and you see what it's all about and what happened. But if it offends anybody, then okay. It was like that song, and at first I heard that, Baby It's Cold Outside.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? This is fucking bullshit. What are they doing? They're getting too left with this, a left wing or whatever. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, I don't really care. I can play it whenever I want to. If it offends somebody, then sure.
Well,
I don't see the point, but if it does offend you,
I think
okay.
I think the bigger problem right now with all that stuff, and this is a whole other conversation that we could go off on, obviously, but I think the biggest problem right now is that a lot of people have there's a disconnect between things that are offensive and things that are troublesome and problematic.
Yeah.
And people are things that are troublesome and
job.
problematic and deserve a conversation and deserve sides to be heard and all those things are getting called offensive, and then people are getting offended that things are being called offensive, and so it's that.
There's never been anybody more offended than this day and age.
Yeah, and so I think there are things that are troublesome and problematic that need to be discussed, and you need to be able to figure out if people are being offended by it, if it's worthy of a conversation. There's a really great thing about the whole Baby It's Cold Outside, where people talk about the fact that it's really kind of a rallying cry for a woman who's assertive in her sexuality, and talking about how these are all the excuses I'm going to have to make after I do what I want to do. And it's not about that. That's more of what that song is about than the other. So there's a whole bunch of stuff there. But I think the bigger problem people have right now is that the word troublesome is not being used when the word offensive is.
And in the end, they're not banning it from human existence. This is the odd radio station. I don't fucking agree with that. I think it's silly.
I think it's bullshit. And it's like
radio station decided not to play, I don't know, fucking Twist and Shout.
Yeah.
I can't, whatever your reason is, I don't really need to hear it. I can just put it on. I'll just put it on my own.
If
you're a million songs, you're going to take one out of there, whatever.
If Twist and Shout survived that, au pair killing the baby thing, if Shaking Up Baby survived that.
I got the Beatles Butcher
safe.
cover, by the way. I got
safe.
the Beatles Butcher cover. It's on Yesterday and
Oh,
Today.
yeah, Yesterday and Today, yeah.
just,
So if it survived that, we're probably fine with Twist and Shout. But
Just name the team the Mustangs. No one's going to get offended.
Detroit's going to get
What was their old
upset.
school, boys? They used to have, WHA team or WHL. The WHL used to be a professional league, not under 20.
I think that was the Totems.
Was it?
I think so.
know they
Yeah.
had a
Might be.
team.
The Totems were historically a team in
You got
in
the
Seattle.
fucking computer over there,
I'm
producer.
looking,
Why don't
yeah,
you bring it
yeah.
up?
It's funny you brought up the licensing
job.
thing. The Golden Knights ran into that. The Golden Knights announced their name and all that stuff, and I can't remember what it was, but I think it was I don't remember what it was. I want to say it was a parachute troop or something that went by the Golden Knights, and it was kind of I don't know.
No,
if
it's
don't quote me on parachute troop.
No, it's paratroopers. Yeah, it's
Was it
it's the
paratroopers?
owner of the team was in the military, and his team and his paratrooping unit were, I think, referred to as the Golden Knights,
Okay.
and that's what he named them after.
But there was a slight licensing issue because the team was set to have that draft, and they were like, well, are they actually the Golden Knights? But it got cleaned up after.
It did, and the Seattle Totems were in fact a team in the Pacific Coast Hockey League that became the WHL. They were the Seattle Ironmen from 1944 to
terrible name.
1952 in the PCHL. Then they were the Seattle Bombers in the WHL.
no.
They became the Seattle Americans, and then they became the Seattle Totems and stay the Totems from 58 to 74 in the WHL, and then they played in the CHL as the Seattle Totems
one nugget
for a
of
season
information.
from 74 to 75 before folding.
So sorry to cut you off there. I thought you were done.
No, I'm done
do that
now.
a lot.
That's okay.
So the Seattle Metropolitans
Mm-hmm.
played from 1915 to 1924, first American team to win the Stanley Cup. Didn't know that till
Yeah,
right now.
no,
I
that's
just
true. Yeah,
looked it
they
up.
beat the Habs. I
not
think
a bad
didn't they?
name.
No, was it the
Metropolitans.
Habs or the?
They beat the Canadians.
Yeah, the Habs. Yeah.
I remember the old Labatt beer stoppers. That's why I knew Seattle had a cup.
But I don't think you're going to get the Metropolitans for the simple reason that you've got the Metropolitan division in the league.
Yeah.
I think that might affect it. But there we are. That was us talking about the lockout that is pending, apparently. But before we're going to have to get our guest up here in just a few minutes. But of course, we're going to play our guessing game, as we like to do. Our guest this week is, of course, Teddy Purcell. And Teddy has a great NHL career playing for teams like the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Edmonton Oilers, Los Angeles Kings. And TR's known him for a long time. TR, what is your Teddy Purcell story?
My Teddy Purcell story. First of all, if you're going to ask him to match one up, then it can't be told on So the first three that I would think cannot be told on the radio. So we're not going to, well, you can ask him, but he's not going to be able to say. But I will tell you a Teddy Purcell story that a lot of people don't realize. First of all, he was undrafted. That happens. But in Newfoundland, St. John's, I've often said, I've played sports and gone to the nationals in baseball, hockey, ball hockey, and soccer. And normally is the case, you play the host the first game, so they'll fucking crush you. 8-1, everybody gets a free hot dog. Toronto just beat St. John's, right? Or whatever, or Thunder Bay beats Grand Falls, or whatever it is. The representative from Ontario or Quebec or wherever it is usually plays Newfoundland or PEI or Yukon or something like that first. So the tournament's off to a start that the home team gets a win. But in 2003, St. John's went to the Midget Air Canada Cup, and the Midget AAA Canadian Championship is usually not gettable for the St. John's, for the Newfoundland representative. We've had teams come close, but one of the best teams, if not the best midget team ever in 2003, largely because of Teddy. Teddy went to that. And again, this is a time I was calling WHL teams. I watched this guy. I played roller hockey against him in the summer. We became buddies. That sounds silly, but all the boys trained that way. And I said, this guy's got unbelievable hands. He was 14 or 15. Kept watching. He would skate with us, and I'm like, this guy is an absolute magician. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's because it's shinny in the summer, and maybe he folds it when they go into real games. Then I'm watching him, midget AAA, he rips it. He gets MVP of the Air Canada Cup. Now, from a personal level, I still couldn't get any WHL teams. I called. Not that I was his agent, but it was just, I've done that maybe 5 times in my life, seen a guy and gone, he's too good for what I'm watching him play. Anyway, he ends up, I don't know how he got there, but he went out to Notre Dame. And he did pretty well. And if you believe it, the Fog Devils were coming in around that time and still not much interest. Now, but Teddy's 18 or 19 now. So if you go to major junior that late, it's a little bit of a decision, right? So he, for a lot of reasons I won't get into now, but he ends up going to Cedar Rapids in the United States Hockey League, and he just gets better every year. Point a game, way more than a point a game. Maine Black Bears, University of Maine, call him. He goes there for 1 year. Teddy gets Rookie of the Year. Now he's a prospect. I knew it, though. But anybody around here, I wasn't unique in saying that. We all knew he was going to be a great player. Teddy signs with the LA Kings, plays 1 year in the American League for Manchester. What does he get? Rookie of the fucking year. We were just talking about All-Star games with Morgan Riley. Teddy's the only, if I could be wrong, he had a hat trick in the All-Star game. He was a rookie. I believe he was the only rookie, or the only Manchester Monarchs or Kings rookie maybe, but I think he was the only rookie ever to get a hat trick in the AHL All-Star game. And then, went up to the NHL with very, very modest numbers. I'm not looking at the Hockey DB now, but I believe in LA he had maybe 30 games, 3 points, that kind of thing. The next year, 19 games, 5 points. He wasn't playing much. Went to Tampa, took off, became their third or fourth leading scorer immedially as soon as he went to Tampa.
Yeah,
now,
he's in LA. Plays 41 in 2009, 2010. He plays 41 games in LA. 3 goals, 3 assists for 6 points, 4 PIMs. Halfway through that season, he moves over to Tampa Bay. In 19 games, he's got 3 goals, 6 assists, 6 PIMs, and then his first full season in Tampa Bay, he jumps up to 51 points, 65 the next year, 36, 42, 30. He stays up there for the rest of the time he's in Tampa Bay.
And I've heard people that played with him say that, he had some of the best mitts in the league. And I mean, Teddy, if Teddy didn't have such great hands, and I'm not knocking him when I'm saying this, because it's not like he was a defensive specialist or a fighter. He was so good, skilled and so good that the cream had to rise to the top. And I mean it, guys. There's been a lot of great players come out of Newfoundland, right? And there'd always be an argument, who's the best? I don't know. That might have been the most points in one season, 65. I mean, Ryder got 30 goals a couple times. You got Cleary with the Stanley Cup and one of the best all-around players, in the Detroit organization for that time. So he'd have to be up there. But, there's an argument that Teddy, is the most skilled player.
Teddy 65 beats anything Ryder had.
Okay, yeah. And
I'm looking up.
It's just hard to compare all that. And Chloe, had the 65 with or 60-something points with, maybe 17 or 18 fights. So then there's an all-around part of it. It's hard to take Chloe out of the conversation, right? Or Danny or Michael. They're all, take your pick, Pards, whatever you want to do. But I've straight up Dangles. Man, I don't know. I don't know. Teddy Purcell might be, and I mean, I skated on the same ice as Kovalev, and I'm putting him up there. That's where I'm putting him. It's one thing to see him playing. He's got good moves in the NHL. Okay, when you're watching, Mike, it's worth your while to come out when he comes home and just come for a skate. And you see him out here with all
twist my arm. I'll try to make it out. Yeah,
unbelievable what this guy does with the puck. An absolute magician. But my story, I guess, isn't really a story. I just gave you a bio, but because I want people to know, like, he's such a role model. I know what it's like to be a role model from Newfoundland, but, I was bona fide blue chip from the time I was 13. So that kind of wasn't anything new by the time I was in my 20s. But, Teddy apparently came out of nowhere if you were just to look at stats online. Mm-hmm. But we all knew how good he was. And, he stuck with it. And Teddy is more than anything a great fellow. Why do you think Marty St. Louis just invited him? He only invited so many to the Hall of Fame. Why do you think Teddy was one of them? Why do you think there's pictures on his Instagram, on Stammer's, private jet and shit like that? Because he's really respected. And Teddy, I think, I know he lives in LA now, but he's not on the scene as much here. But I think people need to realize just how good and how much of an impact he made on young people's lives around here. You know what? How many Tampa Bay fans are here? If you go to the rink, though, and, because that was his biggest success, there's all kinds of young kids with Tampa Bay jerseys. That's Teddy Purcell,
And yeah, so I mean, that's the thing is Teddy has had a storied career. From what I'm looking up, just because that was kind of that heyday of like Clough, Ryder, Cleary, Purcell all playing at the same time, and Teddy does have the most points of them. So I think there's a chance that Teddy has the most single season points of any Newfoundlander to play at 65 when he was with Tampa. So I believe that actually is the case, and we'll find out, I guess, in a minute when we get Teddy on. So we'll be right back after this word.
This interview brought to you by Little Dog. 5 years after quitting a match, Tommy Little Dog Ross begins a quest for redemption. Little Dog Season 2 is on CBC Now. Catch it Thursday nights at 9 Eastern, 9:30 in Newfoundland. By the way, keep an eye out for yours truly taking a few knocks in the ring. That's Thursday nights at 9 Eastern, 9:30 in Newfoundland. Little Dog Season 2. Folks, listeners, Third Man In podcast, proud to have my good buddy on as our second guest, okay? This man was the 2003 Air Canada Cup bronze medalist and MVP. I want to get back to that in a little bit. Former Notre Dame Hound, Cedar Rapids Rough Rider, Maine Black Bear, Manchester Monarch, LA King, Tampa Bay Lightning, Edmonton Oiler, Florida Panther, KHLer, and most importantly, St. John's Midget AAA Maple Leaf. The man I affectionately call Theodore Teddy LA, Teddy Bolt, or Teddy Toe Drag, which is probably the most relevant today, isn't it? I'm pleased to have him on the program, Teddy Purcell. Welcome, Teddy.
Thanks, boys, for having me.
Thanks so much for coming on. So, TR, I think you wanted to get things rolling here.
So, for those hockey fans out there, I'm sure everybody has heard of Teddy Purcell. Over 500 games in the NHL, 571 to be exact, over 100 goals. But the thing about Teddy and his talents, he's my good buddy. And he's from St. John's, Newfoundland, an East Ender, right, Teddy?
Yeah.
An East Ender,
baby.
And in 2003, so, I've often said when you go to when you represent Newfoundland at a national tournament, for example, growing up, I played baseball, soccer, hockey. We were fortunate enough in Mount Pearl to win, but you go away, you usually play the host, you're the sacrificial lamb, so everybody gets a free hot dog, and everybody goes home happy. The 2003 St. John's Maple Leafs Midget AAA team were a little different. We often don't get out of Atlantic Canada. The boys won Newfoundland, they won Atlantic Canada, but then they went to the Midget AAA, it was Air Canada Cup, now it's TELUS. If I'm wrong here, Teddy, pipe in, but I believe, I just know this just from knowing Teddy. And, he got MVP, bronze medal. Now, I made some calls for Teddy back at that time. Not that he asked me to, but to the Western Hockey League. We also, at the same time, all the boys that played ice hockey played roller hockey in the summer. It's defunct now here, but we had this league. It was the kind of league that all the pros played, and you'd kind of selly after goals and shit. We took it serious kind of thing, right? We took it serious. And Teddy was up and coming. Ryan Chloe was in the A then, I think. It was that changing of the guard for a lot of people coming around here. So Teddy, and I made calls to Tri-Cities, Spokane, I believe, Lethbridge, just some contacts I had back then. No one really bid at him. And Teddy goes to Notre Dame, then he goes to Cedar Rapids in the United States League. Has some great... couple of great years with Chad Costello, if I'm not mistaken. Wasn't he another sniper on your squad?
Yeah, he was.
And then from there, Maine, again, this is off the top of my head, Maine Black Bears for 1 year. I believe Theodore was Rookie of the Year. And from there comes the NHL contract. So first of all, undrafted, so that's a story in itself, but that happens more and more now. But the thing is, Teddy played right up until midget and was probably on the best midget team that ever came from the island. I can't think of a better one in any era recently just because of that success. Follows that to L.A., goes to L.A. pretty well that he's even playing in the NHL. A lot of us are going, hey, Teddy got a few games. Okay, plays for, I can't remember, 30, 40 games, 6 or 7 points, whatever it might be. I know I'm roughly, I don't like doing the homework and reading it. I just like going off my head because he's my fucking buddy and I paid attention to Teddy the whole way up. Goes to Tampa, lights it fucking up, 65 points right off the bat. Teddy, what was the hardest part of that journey?
I don't know. I think the hardest part of it all was I loved hockey, so I didn't really care. Obviously, took you 10 minutes to tell you all the places I played, so I've obviously been around a little bit, getting my path to the NHL, but I didn't care, man. I was just having fun. My parents were supporting me, and they weren't forcing me in any direction. I just kind of went wherever I felt that was the best advice at the time. And obviously, looking back, I think some decisions were not as good as others, but I think that's how you grow as a person and as a player. And I think the hardest thing for me was just everyone saying, I wasn't going to make it. And my goal obviously was to play in the NHL, but I didn't think it was possible until I got to Maine. And when I was at Maine,
okay, so Maine is when it hit home, was it?
Maine is when it hit home, yeah. And we were dicks in junior, like some of the kids that sucked, which is not their fault, but there's one kid that was a douchebag and he sucks. We used to like prank call him at nighttime. We'd be like, hey, this is like Joe Murphy from Quinnipiac College calling. We really like your game. I want to talk to you tomorrow after practice. So show up in the morning, wear a nice suit, and we'll talk to you. Hope all is well. So then the kid would come to the rink in the morning. He'd have a suit on. We're all like getting out of bed and our sweatpants on. And then every time the coach knew it was me, he'd call me and he's like, "You dickhead, you can't do this to these poor guys." So then when I got to Maine, I got this email. Like I just got a cell phone at 21, which is hilarious. But when I was at Maine, I got an email. I was in my dorm room, and it was like I was playing well at the time, and I think I was leading the team and leading like Hockey East in scoring, I think. And I got an email, and it was like, "Hey Teddy, like your game. I want to get together with you next week. I'm coming in to watch your games." And it was like the assistant general manager, Anaheim Ducks. I'm like, these bastards, like someone's pranking me. So I didn't write him back. And I told, I was like, I've been here before. So I sent it to my dad a few days later. He was like, "Are you nuts?" Like he looked up the area code or something, and it was like from California. So I ended up calling the guy back, and it was him. But I was like, these guys aren't getting me with this trick. But then I couldn't believe it that, I was never drafted, like you said, never talked to any teams, never talked to any scouts. And I just got that one email, and then it all kind of snowballed from there.
I didn't realize you hadn't talked to any scouts or anything either. I mean, so that must have felt like it just came out of thin air for you. I mean, not that you weren't working hard, Teddy, but you know how it gets. I mean, every game for me in junior or wherever it was, I was always thinking, is someone going to see me? Is someone going to... And it's almost like buying a lotto ticket. But as you're becoming more accomplished, you start to say, what the fuck here? What do I got to do? So if that was the time, that's interesting. And I'm learning that for the first time and even being your good buddy. Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit. Fast forward over the time in LA. So your time in Tampa, not only did you score a lot, and I believe the most points in a season for a Newfoundlander, at least close to 65. We're here trying to figure out
in Tampa Bay, yeah.
Yeah, in Tampa Bay. So, but that whole experience, obviously you got a lot of points, everything else. But what I noticed recently, Teddy, and, people that play with Teddy Toe Drag tend to be left an impression, and there's a reason that, he's sought after by a lot of, and we'll get into his job now later. But Marty St. Louis, okay, he gets nominated or inducted into the Hall of Fame recently. And Teddy, you're one of the guys he called. So you know what I'm going to ask. The relationship, how did that come to be? And, overall, I guess give us your take on Marty.
You know what? Like I was always fortunate and happy when I was in the NHL. Obviously, it's a lot of stress and like you have bad games. And I was a player that I was just like an easy whipping boy for the coaches. Like I didn't fight like you. I didn't hit. Like I didn't kill penalties. So like if someone like a top end skilled player wasn't playing well, but I made one bad play, like it was always my fault. So I feel like when I got, and I was always myself. Like I hate people that they're fake or they're fucking phonies and they're not themselves. And I just went into Tampa and I knew it was a good opportunity and I was just myself. And I remember Marty I was only there for half the year, the first year. And after we were having beers, he's like, feels like I've known you for like 5-10 years. We just clicked right away. And obviously he's an easy guy to look up to, but we always used to go golfing. He had a gym at his house. He used to make me go over there and stay over and hang out with his kids and work out. And then we'd go for beers and we talk hockey. So we just bonded right away. And that was just, I didn't realize, like I thought when I first came to LA, we had a really good group of guys. And then when I got to Tampa, like there's still probably 10 of us from that group that we go to weddings. We go on a golf trip every year. Obviously, Marty invited us to the Hall of Fame thing, which was probably the coolest thing I've ever done in hockey. And it just, obviously we didn't get a chance to win. We went, a couple of playoff runs together. But I think the most important thing, like when you look back, and I mean, hockey is great. It's a short window. You make a lot of money. Everyone knows all that. That's great. But I think the friendships and the connections you make along the way are the most important thing. And that's what's really going to last a lifetime, which is pretty cool.
No, I totally agree with you, Teddy. Took the words out of my mouth, man.
With Marty though, I'm just wondering, like, where you guys are both undrafted players who kind of made a good run. Was that part of kind of what brought you guys together? Was that kind of up against it when you're not a drafted player, you're not one of these like blue chip guys that you really worked hard and you had to get there through that kind of grinding to get to the NHL and get to that Tampa Bay Lightning team? Was that kind of what brought you guys together at all? Is that something you bonded over?
Maybe a little bit. I mean, maybe it's an icebreaker. He played in Vermont too, which is Hockey East. Obviously, I was in Maine. Mm-hmm. Both undrafted, but I think we just had the same personality. And he's an older guy, and the older guys were nice to him when he was younger. Mm-hmm. He was just a really good leader. He wanted everyone to feel a part of it. Marty liked to gamble on the plane, so he wouldn't let me and Stammer take naps on the planes. Like if we were hungover, if we were tired, no matter what. Marty's like, "No, you guys are playing cards, and I want to try to take your money." I was like, "Oh, thanks, Marty." So how are you going to say no to Marty St. Louis, right?
Yeah.
But you know what, Teddy? Going back, and we'll touch on what you're doing now in a little bit, but everything you're explaining to me, it's kind of the way my experience is with hockey, and not as much in the NHL, obviously, but in the AHL and even in the NHL a little bit. I mean, I spent some time there. You tended to hang out with the boys. Now you're still involved in a major level, and we will get into that in a minute. But what do you see as the difference? To me, man, I'm a bit on the outside looking in, but I do work with some kids that go away. It seems to me that there's more and more. What's the word? A social media presence, maybe a video game presence, but there's a disconnect. I remember going on the road, like if I didn't meet Mark Recchi and Vinny Damfus in the restaurant, then at least have a steak and a beer with them, then, I would be definitely reprimanded at practice the next day. I don't think it's quite like that anymore. Teddy, what do you think? You're right in between eras.
I think it's embarrassing.
I thought so. I thought you'd say that. Keep going.
Yeah, anyone can play video games, whatever. Like, everyone has, you can't, judge a guy for playing video games, but you don't need to be bringing, a suitcase on the plane with your fucking Xbox in it. Hang out with the boys, play cards, take a nap, go to a movie. Not everyone has to drink beers either. I got Dustin Brown, unbelievable leader, won a couple of cups, awesome guy, but he just doesn't like to drink. But he would come out to the bar with us. He's like, yeah, I was like, what are you doing here? He's like, I just came out to hang out with the boys for a bit. I was like, you want a beer? He might have a beer. And then he's like, I'm going to a movie by myself. It's like, all right, whatever you're into. You're a good guy. At least you showed up and you hung out for a bit. You don't have to, not everyone has to hang out at the bar till 3 a.m. So, but I remember one time, like, I won't say their names, but the young guys in Tampa were coming up, and Stammer, Vinny, and Marty and me were golfing. And then we ran into those guys in the lobby. And the coach at the time was like, hey, take out some of these young guys for dinner. They're going to be a big part of this team, blah, blah, blah. So Marty, like, we all invited them, but it's like Marty, Vinny, and Stammer. So how do you say no to those three?
I know. Who the fuck would want to, first of all?
The guys, they didn't text back. They didn't show up to the lobby. We were like 15 minutes late for dinner because we were waiting in the lobby for them. And finally we're like, I guess we're going to go. And those guys were like pissed. So I went up to the guys in the morning. I'm like, where the fuck were you guys last night? It's like, I didn't want to go. We just got room service and watch TV. I'm like, do you realize who invited you guys to dinner?
I'm glad you
like,
did that.
Sorry, man. And they didn't blink an eye. They didn't care. I'm like, I remember when I first got to LA.
You'd be fined for that shit.
Yeah, Rob Blake was the captain, and he invited me out for dinner and beers with the older guys. So I was the guy that didn't speak until I was spoken to, and so I texted my dad right away. I'm like, Dad, Rob Blake invited me for dinner. I fucking sprinted down the lobby. I was down there 30 minutes before, just waiting, just in case like he came down or he like I couldn't leave without me.
Well, you see, that really is, and you know, and the next question, because Teddy. I knew that. I mean, I know going in that you're that guy. You're one of the guys, and I think the eras are changing. There's more and more of a disconnect. I hate to see it, and who knows what the future will hold. I think we will be looked at as real old schoolers that used to go out for beers with the guys. I really do, guys. It's changing that fast. Yeah. But I mean, so going from that to being one of the gel guys on a team. And by the way, part of gelling, when you said you took the criticism a lot, that's for the boys too. I mean, it's easy to shit on you because, like you said, you didn't have all those areas to the game. You were a skill guy, but so obviously if you turn the puck over, but you got to be able to take that because some guys can't take it. But Teddy, you do it and you deflect. You take it on the shoulders for the team. That's another way to gel. I just wanted to point that out. But Omsk, so you go to Omsk. So you come from all that. A couple of years ago. I don't know the situation, Theodore. I know they pay a lot of fucking money over there, so you're thinking, okay, I don't have an NHL deal. I'm going to the KHL. Now, my first thing when I thought of that was, that was the first thing thinking, there's probably another disconnect. A lot of these guys probably don't even speak English. I really don't know. It's not like Switzerland or Germany where there's all kinds of English imports. I mean, I really don't know. I haven't been there. I heard some crazy stories. I won't get into the Russian gas or anything because I think a lot of listeners of this might listen to Spittin' Chicklets, which is a great show. We're not trying to compete. Love the boys. I'm not trying to steal their guests. Teddy's my good buddy. But he talked a little bit about that. It's worth your listen when you listen to that, so I'm not going to repeat all those questions. But Teddy, A, did you feel like an outsider on that team? And B, I mean, there must be so much crazy shit. That's Siberia. You're in the middle of nowhere. What would have been the craziest fucking thing you saw all year?
Oh, man.
I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Forget that. I know. I'm trying to forget that word Omsk out of my vocabulary. But
man,
that's how Bond movies take place, man.
I know. I was in Boston on a PTO. I had a good camp. I had 2 goals in 3 games. The GM was honest. He's like, man, I drafted a lot of first rounders. I got to throw them in the lineup, but I like what you bring. So he's like, why don't you take a few days? They offered like a 2-way deal. And I was like, oh man, I can't go down to Providence and ride the bus. I just bought a house in California.
Beauty.
And then my agent called me. He's like, well, the Olympics are going on this year and this team in Russia is going to give you a lot of money for 4 months. I was like, look, I can pay off my house. I can go over there, try for the Olympics. I was like, yeah, fuck it. I didn't know anything about the city. Yager played there, so I got in touch with him. He was like, oh, Teddy, you love it there. Yeah, good city.
You played with Yager in Florida, side note, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Thought so. But, yeah.
And that's where he left. I don't know what there's so many rumors about him, but he left the Rangers and went over there. I think he was making like $15 million a year over there, something stupid. So, yeah, I was like, all right, I'll go in. I'll experience it. I got there. I'm like, get me out of here. Like,
really?
Yeah, they're like, I lived in like a nice building for over there. And like the people outside selling like frozen meat, like with no packaging on it, on the hood of the car, like vegetables on the car. The chicken looked like it was killed like 10 minutes ago and frozen. Like the legs were still on it, no head. It was awful.
And you're coming from the NHL going, what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
I mean,
I know it was
an
experience, but
was the on ice stuff similar?
What's that?
Practices. Was the on ice stuff similar?
No, nothing was similar. Nothing was similar. I think it's just their mentality. Like, so you'd have like a few days between games. You'd practice twice a day. You have to go for a run outside. It's like -100. I'm like, we're gonna get sick. He's like, no, Teddy, this is good. This is good for cardio.
So that's all you needed to hear. That's all you needed to hear.
So then at the end of the year, they tried to. They hired like a security guard. They give you a driver over there because, one, there's no English signs and like the roads are coming everywhere. There's no rules anywhere. You can do whatever you want. There's cars coming from every which way. So you have a driver. They hired a security guard to follow me and my driver around because they tried to catch me like drinking or like say anything to break my contract so they wouldn't pay me. So then they're like, all right, Teddy, you're like working man now.
Oh, my.
I'm like, oh, okay. So they used to make me go to the rink from 9 in the morning till 6 at night. They used to make me do 2-hour bike rides and have like some little Russian guy looking at me. I was riding the bike backwards at about 12 RPMs a minute. I was crawling on it. And
well, I mean, you must have quickly said
Netflix.
Holy.
Yeah, this was at the end of it though. They owed me a lot of money, so I was like, if that was the first week, I would have left. But this was at the end, and they hold a lot of your money until the end, so you don't leave. So I was like, fuck these guys. And instead I was like eating, and then there's this other. They'd send all these, like, the guys were on the road, so they'd send, like, I don't know, the owner's, like, personal assistant. I don't know who it was. It didn't speak English. He'd just come in and sit down next to me when I'm eating. No English. They just looking at me, and they say 3 words in Russian. I'm like, man, I don't speak Russian. I don't know why you're talking. So then finally, they're wearing me down. Like, they make me go swim. I don't know how to swim. I had tubes in my ears growing up, so I'm like, boys, I can't swim. I'm going to, like, drown.
Jesus Christ.
Jeez.
And so finally, I like put ketchup under my eyes, and the guy was like, "What?" Like, so we had like Google Translate, and I was like, "War paint." I was like, "You fuckers, I'm not leaving now."
Wow.
Thank you guys.
Jesus, the first 3 things you told me are worse than anything I would have thought, and I had some pretty crazy thoughts.
It sounds like Rocky IV.
Do you mind me asking if they paid you? Like, did they pay you most of the money at least?
Yeah, they did. They paid me most of it.
Because I've heard some crazy
There's a lot
stories.
that they didn't pay, but yeah, they paid like
Okay.
1/10 they didn't pay, but they paid.
So Teddy, that's something I kind of wanted to touch on here. We've already seen. I don't know if you know you're still involved in the game at a high level. I don't know if you follow as much as the chatters, most people, but they're already kind of ramping up for another CBA battle between the union and the owners. And this is something that I'm just wondering, like, maybe that a lot of players should be kind of more educated about when they're fighting against a good collective bargaining agreement, because outside of the NHL, it looks like, I mean, I've read a lot of the horror stories about, and I didn't hear anything as crazy as that, but I've heard like people getting billed for sticks, and then, they promise you all this money over there, and they're billing you for sticks, and they're billing you for your ice time and all that, and when the season's up, it's like some people are like, oh, okay, well, here's what we were going to pay you, and this is what you owe us now. So how much of that can be applied to, what players have to kind of fight to keep the NHL where it's at today from a player standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing, like, so I went through one lockout. We lost half the year, which sucked. We lose half the money. We got paid back a little bit, but it wasn't as much as we lost. And so a lot of people don't know about the escrow. So that's like what every check players or every year. Sorry, I think it's at like 16% now. So that's 16% of your money that you don't get back. So that goes to teams that like if it goes to the owner's fund or whatever it is. I think it's shady, but it goes to like the teams that don't have a lot of attendance. So Carolina, Florida, Phoenix. So we're basically helping pay for those teams.
Yeah, it's essentially a luxury tax off of the players, more or less, as opposed to, but yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the owners have all the money in the world, and we're still we still lose 16% of our checks. So if you're making, whatever you're making, it's a lot of money. If you're making $1 million, you're making $10 million. That's a lot of money that you don't get back that you earned. And at the time, they were saying it's going to be in the low single digits, and now, like, since the last one, it's gone up to 13 or 16%, whatever it is. So it's a lot of cash.
Mm-hmm. So is that then what you think, like, as this is getting drawn out, like we were talking about this earlier before you came on, just because they're already saying they're going to cancel the World Cup for 2020 in anticipation of the lockout is kind of how we got on it. So do you think that's kind of going to be the line in the sand this time? Is that number there?
I think so. Like Donald Fair came in. He came in from MLB baseball, and he was he was really good. And I remember we went to a few meetings because there was nothing else to do. We kind of wanted to learn a little bit about it, and we all had roommates on the road. Like, I don't think you could get it like your own room until you played like 500 or 600 games, or you're over like 35 or something. So, but growing up, we didn't know any different. Like, staying at Ritz Carlton, you have a roommate. Like, life's good. And he came in, he started laughing at us. He's like, "You guys are like grown men. You don't have your own room." So he got some stuff like that, and like obviously in training camp you can only be at the rink like 3 hours, but all that other stuff is just kind of icing on the cake. I think the biggest thing is it's like the money sharing and all that stuff. And to be honest, it's a little bit over my head, especially now that I'm out of the league, and so I don't really need to pay as much attention to it. I for the players' sake and the fans' sake, and I think the game's going in a great place right now. It's exciting, it's fast, it's skilled. There's a lot of good teams. There's it seems like more and more superstars are coming up as young kids, which like back in the day, Terry, as you know, there's maybe like 2 or 3 guys in the league that came in and were pretty good. Now it seems like every year there's like 10 players. Like, who are these guys?
Yeah. The average age has gone down too, man. I don't know the exact stat, but it's gone down. And Teddy, before Chuck got a few one-timer questions for you, we won't keep you too much longer, and really appreciate the interview. But have you ever actually seen anybody use that, the 3-hour rule? I remember the only person I ever saw was Vladimir Malikov. We were on the ice and he just threw his shit down and left, and I was like, "Where's Vladdy gone?" And they said, "Oh, fuck, like, our time's up." I'm like, "What do you mean our time's up?" And, I was a black ace, so it wasn't really an option, nor did I want it to be, really. But I had like 2 hours of practice left, but technically you could leave. And he's the only guy I ever saw take the option. He threw his shit down, too. He was pissed off about something, and he left. And he said, you can't make me stay." Have you ever actually seen that?
I've never actually seen it, but I've come close. I think like back in the day, I don't think it was like as hard of a rule as it was, like, because coaches and teams can get in a lot of trouble now if they do screw up with that. Now, if you're like over like 10 or 15 minutes, the guys aren't going to bitch. But if you're like still in the middle of practice, like I can't remember who it was. It was an older veteran on Tampa, and he just like started pointing at his watch. He was like, "Hey, we're getting close here," and then like. Coach was kind of pissed, but then he laughed, and then the practice was over. So I haven't seen anyone like kick up a fuss or actually call and try to get the coach in trouble with that, because you get blackmailed quick. Like you.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean that's
it's a close league. Yeah, word travels pretty quick.
After that. Okay, Chuck, you take it away. You got a few one-timers.
All right,
here
Teddy, I'm going to invite you to play a game, what I call one-timers. So essentially, it's picture yourself at the All-Star game, and there's someone feeding you the puck, and you've got to one-time this. But if it's not in your wheelhouse, just say not in your wheelhouse, and we're going to go to the next question. So, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, man. I did some research, and I've seen you on the Instagram hanging around with Larry David. So first question, Seinfeld or Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Seinfeld.
Seinfeld, okay. All right, locker room tunes, heavy metal or hip hop?
Heavy metal.
Oh, all right.
Good dog.
Good job. All right, here we go. Better jersey colors in your career, Oilers going up against Tampa?
I like playing in Tampa better, but the colors, I like the Oilers. I mean, growing up watching Gretzky scoot around in the 99 car with the Oilers jersey on, that was pretty cool to put on.
Fair enough. All right, better jersey colors in your career. We're going to take the Oilers as the winner, going up against the Kings.
I'll go Oilers again.
Oilers again? All right. I'm liking how all these are in your wheelhouse. I'm dishing some good passes here. TR just called you Teddy LA. So living in LA, I got a question for you here. An In-N-Out burger or a Big Mary? What are you going with?
Oh, I got to stick to the roots. I'm going Big Mary.
All right.
I got to say, In-N-Out's overrated.
Oh, I don't know.
I've been there. I've had an In-N-Out burger. It's all right. I like
For those, go ahead.
I was gonna say,
it's sloppy. It's a little sloppy. I'd rather Shake Shack, to be honest.
I was just gonna say.
Okay, I've heard that one.
My go-to is Shake Shack. I'll go to, like, whenever I'm in LA, I usually try, because there's no Shake Shack here. I'll usually try to hit a Shake Shack like maybe 2 or 3 times a trip.
I bet you fucking do.
I'm talking about like a 3-day trip to LA.
Well, what goes there quite a bit? First of all, for those that don't know, Big Mary is like famous in Newfoundland. There's a fast food restaurant that originated here called Mary Brown's, and the signature burger is a Big Mary, and it's deadly. It's chicken.
Oh, yeah.
And it's starting to pop up all over Canada.
Pickle on top, man.
Yeah, it is.
Nodding saltier on the on than that pickle on top. All right, Teddy, you're a Newfoundlander. What's going to take you longer here? Knock down a moose or jig a cod?
I suck at fishing, so I'm probably going to say jigging a cod for me.
Okay, that's going to take you longer. All right, I'm liking how these are still in your wheelhouse here. You mentioned playing a bit of cards on the planes and the bus rides. Poker or cribbage?
I like crib.
Oh, good man.
Is that what you guys played? Did you play Schnarples? Is that still on the go?
Yeah, we played Schnarples and Euchre and this other game, Helicopter, which Marcus St. Louis showed us. Like Tim Taylor back in Detroit days used to play it, and that game it gets too out of hand. It's too much money to be taken from your buddies. But competitive guys going at it, yeah. So he's a little ugly.
All right, well, let's take the crib or 120s.
Crib.
Oh,
yeah. All right. I'm like the one Newfoundlander that doesn't know how to play 120s. All right. And this is the last one. I think you already gave this one away. But later in your career, were you a practical joker with the young rookies on your team, or were you a kind of dinner invites and advice for the young guys?
I was a little of both. Like Terry said earlier, I was like a glue guy, and I was a good connection between the young guys coming up and some of the older guys. Where older guys, especially at home, they have families and stuff, so you don't see them as much at home unless you go to their house and hang out with their kids and wives and stuff.
Okay.
And the older guys were nice to me when I was younger, so I always tried to take a few under your wing or show them around town, take them out for dinner, introduce them to some people outside of hockey and stuff. So I think I had a pretty good balance of that during my career.
Okay, thanks, Theodore. Now, just before you go, I got a couple of quick questions, but the first thing I want you to comment on, because you blew me away. We got together on Tibbs Eve. We had a chat, and you told me what you're doing now, which is working with Adam Oates, but what you were explaining to me about the curves and about the different approach, I'm not going to be able to do as good a job, so I was going to talk about it earlier, but I'm going to leave that to you. So what are you doing now outside of living in L.A., baby?
So Adam Oates, he coached me in Tampa, and he's obviously, every hockey fan knows how successful his career was and how good of a power play player he was, how good he put himself in position to not get hurt and to get points and to be more efficient. So then he coached Washington, coached New Jersey, and then he didn't really know what he wanted to do. And he obviously loves hockey, and he's a very driven guy. So he started like consulting. It's almost like skills consulting, I guess you could say. And he probably has like 60 clients now, and he was just getting a little over his head. He started with 3. It was me, Stamkos, and Scheifele. And he wanted to see how it would go. And word of mouth like kind of took off, and guys kept calling. And it seems like every week, like 1 or 2 new guys are calling to pick his brain and to hire him. And obviously I'm not teaching the guys stuff, but I'm just an extra set of eyes. And I know a lot of the stuff that he talks about because I did it when I worked with him. And now we just kind of go around and see the guys. He does a lot of video with the guys as well. And, I wish I hired him earlier in my career. I'd probably still be playing. But it's good. I'm still in the game. We're going to good cities. It's not like I'm going to Notre Dame to like see some 15-year-old kid play, like driving on the highways there. We're going to New York, Boston, Toronto, Florida, LA, Chicago. It's great. You get to be around the guys still. I get to pass like what Oatsy's teaching to some of the guys. And then it's fun, it doesn't feel like it's work. Obviously a paycheck is good, but me and Oatsy, we have fun all the time. Go for dinner, work hard in the mornings, and same thing like we're on the road. You go out, see the city, take a nap, you go for nice dinner and wine. It's great.
Well, that's awesome, Teddy Toe Drag, and I love the fact you're living in L.A. You figured it out. You got it all figured out as I sit here on Alexander Street in the freezing fucking cold in the middle of the winter.
It is. I will turn up the heat here.
Playing for the
Sorry,
St. John's
man.
Caps. Anyway, yeah, you made the right decisions. You picked behind door number 1 and you chose correctly. But quickly, that he brought up the road. I just got 2 quick questions that a lot of fans might want to hear. Your favorite road city or restaurant, whatever you want to say, but your favorite road place.
Oh, that's tough. When I was in Tampa, I went out east all the time. Like Montreal for Canada is unreal. Also, obviously, every time you go to LA, it was fun too. If you like go to good restaurants or get to, you go out and you see some celebs or something when you're younger, you thought that was cool. I always like Chicago though. I think the people are nice. The restaurants are always good. that rink was rocking too back in the day, and like the anthem before the game. So I'd say Chicago.
Beauty, actually. I love that place too. Would have been one of my tops as well. And lastly, Theodore, who the fuck was the hardest player to play against? It could be tough. It could be just good, whatever. And that's a tough question. So if you want,
that is tough.
Someone, I guess. Who was hard to play against? The pups in your head?
I'll say like the best I ever played. Well, I played with Connor, and like just watching him, it's like, well, how's this guy move so fast? Like, doesn't have a great body. Like, not the strongest guy, but he's just a freak on the ice.
I've heard this. Yeah,
obviously, Sid. It's hard to argue too. He was fun to play against, but the scariest I've ever played against was Chris Pronger.
Oh, man, that's mine too. I only got a few games out of it. You had to go in that cage with that fucking guy with the cross check and then the fucking slash, cross check slash. Teddy.
Yeah, I know. And I remember we were playing in Tampa. He was in Philly at the time, and like Steve Downey, like he was a fearless guy, but he'd bark up the wrong tree a lot. But you got to give him respect. But Pronger was like, you do that again, I'm going to slash you in the face. Next shift, Downs went at him again, and next thing you know, Downs' 2 teeth were gone.
Yeah,
like right in front of me, I was like, oh God, I'm changing. Get me out of here.
It's a great fucking answer. We don't have a whole lot of overlap because I didn't play a while, but that would have been not my number. Yeah. Well, you know what? Bird Dog or Pronger. Teddy didn't play against Bird Dog. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. We'll bring that up in a few episodes. But anyway, look, buddy, I appreciate it. Mike, you and Chuck got any more questions?
I do. Just before we let Teddy go, we've been doing something we're calling. It's just a bit of a guessing game. Just before we gave you a shout, we asked TR to tell us his kind of best Teddy Purcell story about you guys together, and now it's up to you to try to figure out what story he told.
I do need to let him in on.
No. Just. He's worried here for a second.
No, it's all good.
Like what time in the? Like, can you give me a time frame? It was just like before lunchtime.
You know what?
TR actually,
I said for good reason. The first couple we won't be able to talk about, or I'm going to get arrested as soon as we leave.
He just talked about playing roller hockey is what it ended up being.
I didn't really give a good story. I just gave his bio.
Yeah.
Right? I told Mike, like, if we keep doing this segment, like, I've got responsibilities. I don't want to get fired from work. I don't, I get it. I know that we can go over the line a little bit, but if me and Teddy were to tell you those stories, like Teddy had a golf tournament on George Street, and all the boys would come in. Teddy and Purcell, I mean, all of them from the NHL. We had Thornton, Stamkos, fucking Ryan Malone, and we had crazy times on that street, amongst others. I'll just leave that with you. So I don't know where Teddy would start, but I don't want to get him or myself in trouble. And the funnest times, I would have to think that would probably happen if he told the story. But you can tell a story if you want.
Well, no, I don't know. You guys have put me on the spot.
No, well.
Our mothers might be listening.
I know what popped into your head first, and don't tell that.
Not in your wheelhouse. That's all you got to say, Teddy. Not in your wheelhouse.
Well, maybe we'll get it over a beer sometime on George Street next time you're home. So, but thank you so much, Teddy, for coming on. And we really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today.
Love you, buddy. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Teddy.
Okay, boys. Talk soon.
All right. Cheers, buddy. All right. Thanks so much, Teddy. It was so great to get a chance to talk to him. And, of course, TR, again, thanks for lining it up so we get a chance to talk to Teddy, even though there was a little bit of a mix-up there.
Well, he's a good sport because I tell you this. I had Teddy's old L.A. or California number. I had both numbers, but I figured, I'll text him on his U.S. number. So I did. And it wasn't his phone, I guess, but whoever's phone it was often gets the Teddy. So I said, hey, Theodore, you want to come on the show? So whoever it was said, yeah, no problem, I'll be on. I said, when do you want to do it? He or she says Friday. So I'm like, okay, thanks a lot. And then I put in some inside, talk. Okay, we're going to go Notre Dame, and then we're going to do, just to make sure that Eddie's on board, and we're going to talk about his career. I don't know what he wants to talk about. Sometimes people are particular. They want to talk about only their job now or whatever it might be. So Teddy's like, it's all cool. And I set a time, and I said, okay, so we're going to meet, or we're going to talk on Friday, which I called you guys, in the evening in Newfoundland. It'll be, afternoon there. So he agreed to it.
And you told us, and then we went. I made a thing on Illustrator, and we posted it on all of our. We talked about it last week at the show. We posted it on Twitter and Instagram and all that shit, saying Teddy Talks. We're going to talk to Teddy Purcell.
Exactly. So, and just a couple days ago. So as we were doing that, Teddy, so I'm posting it on Instagram. I got like fucking 50 hockey cards on Instagram every 3 or 4. I'm putting in a third man in podcast. You know, I'm just trying to get as much word as I can out there. So now, you know, my story is flooded with Teddy information. So he gets back to me and says, you know, I guess I'm on a podcast. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Were you loaded drunk the other night? Obviously. And I had to take a picture and send it to him. He said, that's not my number anymore, man. So, you know, he just did that. He was actually just working with Adam Oates at that point. And he gave, you know, he just said, oh, I'm going right home, man. I'll get on the phone. I appreciate it. And, you know, he doesn't have to do that. So, you know,
we definitely do appreciate him taking the time to hop on with us, especially. And also, I just want to ask, because we didn't ask him when he was on, but like, the where you call him Theodore.
Yeah.
His name's not Theodore.
And it's Edward.
Yeah. So it's just like
it's just Teddy Bear.
Yeah.
It was Teddy Bear for a while, and then it was Theodore Bear.
All right.
This is a lot of with Senior too. But again, back in the day, boys. So it was like I said, that midget story. He was 2003, and I was late, but I was still playing pro. And, you know, and right before that, I mean, I was aware of Teddy when he was 10 or 11 when I was in the NHL, and he was an absolute prodigy. So my dad and I knew of Teddy, and we would always come across him, whether it be, he started playing roller hockey against us, and it was just a term of endearment, Teddy Bear, and then it was Theodore for like 10 years, and now it was Teddy Bolt, now it's Teddy Toe Drag.
There you go.
You know, to us, he's affectionately Theodore for the longest time.
TR, I got to thank you, because I would have spent that entire phone call just asking him how he knows Larry David. That would have been it. That's all I could. That's all
We
I
forgot to even get there.
I
knew
knew if I got on that track, man, that freight train wasn't stopping. But Teddy, if you listen to the end of this show, and if LD ever wants to get screeched in St. John's, Newfoundland, I know a guy.
And yeah, I mean, it obviously Teddy was so great to have him come on, and he comes back and forth. So maybe one of these days we'll get Teddy back on the show. Maybe do it while he's home sometime. That'd be fun.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
You know what I'm in the mood to do?
I don't know what, Charlie.
Let's take it to the tweets.
Because we didn't plot that out and rehearse it. We ran it once already and it just went horribly. So let's do it again. It is time, in fact, for hashtag hot take. This is a thing that we've been doing here on the show for the history of Third Man, and it's been a big part of our show for all 2 weeks of it, where we do a thing where we throw it up on all of our social media. We ask people to weigh in with their hashtag hot take. And just talk to us about something that they think is a hot take, an opinion they have that they're firm in, and see how it goes. So we had a couple this week, and a couple of them are both Leafs related. And we already had a bit of a conversation about the Leafs when we talked about the Morgan Rielly All-Star Game thing and everything that went on there. So what do we have here this week for our hashtag hot takes?
All right. So first up, for the hashtag hot take, we've got the Leafs will be swept from the first round of the playoffs, from Twitter user at John Richett's birthday today, by the way. So
happy birthday, John, as we're recording.
As we're recording. So
right.
Happy birthday,
happy belated
John.
If you're listening now, but happy birthday today in sentiment. It's a lot of January, like my birthday's in January. Tiara's yours was Monday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and you know, there's lots of good January birthdays.
I don't even know if this is a hot take anymore.
I don't think it's a hot take. I think it's one of those, like, you know, a lot of time people weigh in with the hot takes with things that are just like likely wrong or just kind of like the idea of the Leafs getting swept. I think really depends on who they wind up playing and with the way everything's.
Fuck yeah, man, we're too far out from that yet. And there's injuries and everything else, man. There's so much parity. One or two guys get injured on either side, and it's a sweep. It's fucking crazy.
And I mean, the thing is like the Leafs team went 7 against the Bruins last year. It was a big part of why Jay Gardner got booed last week. But I don't think they're going to get swept. I think you've seen this team kind of grow a lot. I don't think they're going to get swept this year. That's my opinion on it. I think there's too much talent on it. They've got some playoff experience now. I think it's likely that they'll pull out a win. I mean, they just won against Tampa Bay the other night. That's likely who they're going to fucking play.
The odds are like 10% that's going to happen. I mean, just even if they sucked.
I will say this. Any team can get swept. I don't know if anyone remembers the President's Trophy, like one of the best Detroit Red Wings teams ever.
Oh, when they got swept by New Jersey.
No, Anaheim Ducks. And as well as I think like 2 or 3 years later or before, an Edmonton Oilers team swept them. So any team can get swept. Did that Oilers team sweep them?
I'll tell you this. First of all, I believe Washington were down 2-0, and Lars Eller scored an overtime in Game 3 to put them back on. The Stanley Cup champions last year, dare I say nearly, I'm not going to say nearly, got swept because it was 2-0, but that was an overtime. Or
Game 3 was
Game
overtime.
3 was
yeah.
overtime. So if Columbus scores, it's 3-0. It's very possible.
Yeah,
That's
it's
how much
hard.
parity
It's a lot.
And that's what I mean.
It's a lot harder to come back.
Two
It's
injuries away.
Yeah,
Let's just say Backstrom and Ovechkin get injured.
Yeah.
The other thing is, we are spending too much time, I just realized, talking about the Leafs. Every hot take. Look at our hot take.
I know, our hot take.
Leaf Sweep, Nylander, Riley. What did we talk about last week? So you know what? As a group,
we had another
we
one
have
that
to
was.
identify these things.
But you know
And
what's really shitty is that the other one.
We're as
Oh,
bad as
no.
everybody fucking else. If we're talking about it, you know how the media tends to side with the Leafs. Well, I know we're pro and con, but still, it's all we're talking about.
This is
You know,
true.
There is other
and
shit
I mean,
going on.
And I mean, we've got a former Hab here.
All right, I've got one. I'm going to go off the board. We've got everything written up on a board here, but behind. But to save us from the Leafs, I'm going to go off the board. I've got one here. This starts more arguments amongst my friend group than anything. So this comes from. I'm not going to out who this guy is. I'm just going to use his Twitter handle. @UncleBeer says,
Oh, this thing,
players
yeah.
should just skate to the bench when they break or lose a stick in their own defensive zone. This could not. And look, I'm not a coach. I'm not a hockey player.
The one that killed me is the addendum to this is him saying, like, if your PK can't last 5 seconds, then why do you even have a fucking PK?
I can answer that. You guys go first.
If you're all right, if you drop, so this came up like I don't know, probably like 10 times a season. I get pigeonholed into this argument. If you drop your stick, throw yourself in front of the puck. Your body is also, you can block a lane with your hand. You can block a shot with your body. You can hit a guy. If you're in your own zone and you're gonna make that penalty kill a 5-on-3 for even 5 seconds, like when you get back to the bench, if I were a coach, you'd be sitting there for a while.
Yeah.
Like for a while. I don't know. There was a coach years ago, and I remember that Doc Emmerich mentioned it on NBC, because anytime a player broke the stick, that was it. Beeline to the bench. If it was a defenseman, if it was a forward, I mean, I can't remember who the coach was. It might have been when Boucher just got on the Tampa.
Well, we can ask Teddy.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have been shocked if, like, at this point, Doc Emmerich kept bringing it up, and I wouldn't have been shocked if the goalie lost his stick at this point, like if he's wheeling over to the bench. Drives me nuts. Can't stand it.
I think it's like, I mean, TR, you can weigh in here, because I'm a firm believer, like, you break your stick, you drop your stick, you stay in the play. Like, I'm shitty. I'm a shitty enough player who feels guilty if I get a minus. That I do my best to try to change on the back on the forecheck. You know, like I hate being that guy. So the idea of bailing out on a defensive end on a defensive zone coverage when
it's not an option. Like, look, guys, when guys get in over that zone in the NHL, okay, you gotta have good gaps. So, you know, the D, for example, just in a regular play, like look at Kane, for example, likes to get the line. Ovechkin. If Ovechkin can get a shot, he's going to take it. So you got to really, you got to be poke checking. You got to really have a really smart gap about you, because all those guys are looking for is a fraction of a second that they can take it and pull it and snap it. And that's a fraction of a second. It's not even a second. Michael Ryder, Newfoundland, shout out, his bread and butter. So if you get in over the line against a professional scorer and they just have that little tiny bit of room, and that's in 5-on-5, then, you know, you've got a shot coming from Alexander Ovechkin or whoever it might be from an NHL. That's a very dangerous thing. So if you're on a power play and it's 5-on-4, you're already down, and that shot's coming, and Ovechkin's over there. I use Ovechkin. It could be anybody. If it's an NHL power play, they have a good one. So, you know, every fraction of a second's important. If you take time to go to the bench and back, and I mean a fraction of a second.
Oh, yeah.
If you're in front, and I mean it, guys, like, you know, I can't tell you much about scoring in the NHL, but it's getting 50 in the WHL in 94, 95 wasn't easy. And a big reason, man, you go in, people ask me why I fought, it was to get a bit of room. If I went in front of the net with a real tough guy like Brendan Witt or someone like that, you know, you take a cross-check in the ribs, you take a slash over the ankle, it was just the way it was, and you try to cross-check back, and you time it. And as the puck is coming in, you're hoping that, boom, I can box myself out a little bit or in, and get my stick on the rebound. It's a fraction of a second. It's like even shorter than that. It's just for a snippet of time. you might be there in the puck, and you know, of the 1,000 times you do it in a 72 game season in junior, it'd squirt free 15 times, and that was an extra 15 goals. It's the same, and that's fractions. In the NHL, you know, guys are even quicker. So it's all about time and space. Sergei Fedorov, we were talking about earlier. Why did he have so many chances? Because he's so fat. It goes right down to Adam. It's one of the most basic points of the game. If you're a good skater, you have more time with it. So you're going to be a better stick handler because you, over the years, have more time with that puck than the guy who can't keep up with the play. And by the time you're in the NHL, if you give one of those guys a second, man, they're going to put it in the top corner. So
Because that's the thing is, once you get to that level, once you're at the NHL, that differential between the top player and the fourth line plug is it's a lot smaller than it is when you're the breakout guy.
If you're already killing a penalty, exactly. If you're already killing a penalty, for example, it's 5-on-4, and you go to the bench. I'm just giving you one example. You know, it's a totally different game. I'd rather my player, if I was a coach, you know, stand there in the lane, just do what you're going to do. It's still room that's being taken up. If you take the player off, I mean, it's not ideal room, but it's room, right?
But I mean, like the other thing is like if this becomes the thing, like on top of it, like as much as it's a fraction of a second, we're talking about whatever. This happens in the second period. All of a sudden, you got to go back over the red line to get back to your bench. You got to skate past Pierre Maguire or wherever the fuck is in the break. You got to grab a fucking stick and go. Like it's just
the other thing is, if you make it a rule, guys. If you make it a rule, it's a judgment call. What constitutes a broken stick? Some chip at the end. Yeah. So now what are you going to do? You had to go off because your stick's broken. No, it's not. I've been playing this for a while. Well, what do you? Then you're going to have some rule that you can't. And then the sticks are going to change.
And then you get more guys.
It's fucking fine like it is. Stay out there and take it in the fucking shin.
And forgive me for using this reference, TR, but you get what happens with fucking Mitch Marner. A couple, like last month or whatever, he breaks a stick, slides his hand down, covers it up so the ref doesn't see he's playing with a broken stick in case he needs to make that defensive play.
Yeah.
Then once the play comes out of the zone, he drops the stick, grabs a new one for the bench, gets the fucking one-timer going in on, like, you know, like.
I wonder if Dave Roper handed him that stick.
It wasn't Roper.
Oh,
I checked.
Did you really? I like how you've already done your homework.
Yeah, I checked to see if it was Roper because I was like, is that Dave Roper?
He was
doing
in
that?
the Nylander YouTube segment though.
Oh, nice.
I'll say this.
But yeah, that's the thing is like all of a sudden if it becomes a thing where you have to go back, like all of a sudden that play goes under review and that beauty goal and smart hockey play by Marner doesn't count anymore, and that's bullshit. I think. And then you look at guys like, wasn't it Greg Campbell against the Pens in, I think it's in 2013 in the playoffs, broke a stick, broke a leg, and stayed out on the PK.
Oh, yeah, man.
Like
Good
through that
memory.
shift.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that was a beast mode. Like that guy had a broken leg without a stick. I think and he might have had a stick. I could be wrong, but he broke a leg.
I remember.
So if you want a guy changing because he breaks a stick and and it's a thing.
I get it if you break your stick and you use it, right?
Oh no, that
could end up being dangerous.
That's dangerous.
Always been the way it is.
That's dangerous. You break your stick, you drop it. The whole thing here is that the guy wants people to come in if they're playing without a stick because but no, you stay out, you do what you can with your body, you block shots, you block players, you do what you have to do, and then you get your stick when you can or you go change.
I'll say this. I'll say there is one out of maybe 1,000 penalty kill scenarios where I can see it being okay, maybe. Like if a lot of teams right now are loading that, they've got that one speedster, that one road runner on. I mean, the first guy I think of, and he's not that guy anymore, but remember when I think it was Grabner had all those shorthanded goals, and like the only reason he was on the penalty kill is for that, if that puck got loose and he got to his own blue line, he was gone, or no one.
Yeah, he wasn't out. He wasn't out there to be defensive.
Yes,
he was out there to grab the offensive turnover.
If a defenseman breaks a stick and they take Grabner's stick, well, maybe a guy like that who's that speedster, he goes to the bench, get a new stick. You gamble a little bit, and if the puck comes to you, you're off to the races in tenfold. But is it unanimous that all three of us absolutely, you stay in the play, you don't open up a lane the size of Kenmount Road there to friggin' just to go get a stick for six odd seconds?
I think so, yes, and I do. As we're bringing this up, we're talking about guys that are effective. I'll go back to Sergei Fedorov. We were talking about him off the air earlier, but wasn't Sergei, if I'm not mistaken, the two-way player of the year, or what's that? The Selke, is it?
Selke, yeah.
I believe he was the defensive player, because again, people remember him being so offensive and fast, but he was a great penalty killer for that reason, because he was I mean, I'm not going to say they had him out there on the penalty kill to score goals. If you pick one off, I'm sure he scored a lot of shorthanders. He was a great penalty killer. But he was also actually good defensively. He was a rocket, but he was...
2-time Selke winner. Yeah.
There you go. Wow. Right? I remember. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't think of that when you remember his highlights. Mm-hmm. It almost would surprise a lot of people. What? He was that defensive? Well, he was the best in the fucking NHL. Mm-hmm. At the time, he was getting 90 and 100 points and an absolute rocket.
White skates, too. Everyone remembers the white skates. Everyone remembers the white skates.
Yeah, so in 94, when he had 120 points and 107 points, was plus 48 and plus 49, respectively, the 2 years that he won the Selke.
Plus 48 and 49.
Yeah, he finished his career plus 261.
How good defensively do you have to be?
As a forward who's putting up 1,100 points, 1,179 points as a forward as a career total, 839 PIMs, plus 261 career. And all right, guys. So thank you guys so much. If there's a little bit of an awkward edit there that you just heard, it's because we did end up going on a bit of a conversation that we decided we're gonna put a little pin in and come back to in about a month. So there's some stuff that we just cut out there, but thanks for checking us out. We don't have our guest announcement for next week because we're still just working on some details, but keep an eye on @3MI Podcast across Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff.
TR Stories.
TR Stories especially. You can follow, it's @TerryRyan2020 on Instagram. It's @TerryRyan20. Right on
Twitter, yeah, you got it. You have a better memory than me.
Well, it's because last week I tagged the wrong guy a couple times. And I think I'm one of them, and kind of went full on texting Teddy Purcell. Got the wrong guy. Saw how that went. Charles, where can people get you?
People can find me on the Twitter, on the tweets. I am @SmokesIndoors. If you want to look at pictures of an adorable dog, I'm on the Instagram @SmokesIndoors as well. And make sure you guys take some time to send some tweets our way. We are @3MI Podcast. Love to hear your hot takes. They were a little bit lukewarm this week.
Yeah, they weren't that hot. And also,
they weren't that hot. Let's tone it down on the Leafs. I'm looking for some Habs fans. Some Habs fans, give me your hot takes.
And just any fans that any fans out there, give us any other team, and it doesn't even have to be NHL. We're we kind of covering all bases here. So give us your hashtag hot takes for a bit of everything. And,
I don't want no hot dog as a sandwich talk though.
All right. I don't even know where to. I want hockey. I just don't want. It doesn't necessarily need to be NHL. I'm of course available. Of course, like everybody fucking knows and shit. I'm Hickey, Mike on all the things, and of course @3MI Podcast is the best way to find us across all the stuff. Thank you again for listening, everybody. Thanks for the huge response from the first week, and make sure to subscribe, like, and rate, review, all those good things across the way. Thanks so much, guys.